Steve, how did your turkey come out? You said you smoked a turkey this weekend. Did you not?
It was just okay.
It was just okay.
Why?
It
got done. It got done. I don't know if I let it rest enough. It just didn't get as soft as I wanted to. It
Would
didn't
you
fall
do it again?
off the bone soft. Not in there. I probably not.
Okay.
I mean, I got a lot of great turkey corn soup as a result because I boiled down the carcass afterward.
Yeah.
So great that, but like the thing itself, the flavor was good. It just wasn't super soft.
Okay.
Like I thought it would be.
That's fair.
So yeah,
all right.
It's okay.
I meant to ask about that earlier, and I just wanted to ask about it on air because I figured that was an interesting topic.
Yeah, Steve sucks to cook. Welcome
no, you're good. I've had plenty of good tailgate food over there, although I think Russ is usually the one making it. Not you.
Yeah. That's how it goes.
Okay. The name of this podcast is The Stuff Summers Says Podcast with
Steve.
I could barely remember the name. I'm having a Monday. I don't know if it was the 3-day weekend. The coma of Oasis being back. Steve's certainly excited about that. That was the real highlight.
Still don't even know what's going on, but I'm glad that worked for you.
That was the real highlight of the weekend. Is Steve sending me at 11:30 at night the Orioles announcer talking about Oasis, and it was just like that's Steve and I. Anyways, we're here. Everybody's here now. It's good. We're gonna have a podcast, and on that podcast we have John Gondak, head coach of Penn State track and field, Penn State cross country. Great conversation about just kind of everything and anything. I thought that was a good conversation with him. We have some hockey news to discuss. Big hockey news to discuss. There's a thing you sent me over the weekend as well that I'm interested to hear your point about. And then I have to pull it back up here before we get to it, but we have the answers from our superstitions kind of survey. And some of them turned out, as somebody that knows and is self-aware enough of his superstitions, some of these turned out hilarious. So I want to say thank you to everybody that sent these in. So listen to our interview with John, and we will be back after this. Steve, again, we continue to work our way through the roster of Penn State head coaches, and I'm eager to have this one on because I enjoy track and field, and I don't think it gets enough coverage, and he probably agrees with me. Is that right?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I mean, we got plenty of coverage, but I do think we are a little bit of a hidden gem when it comes to sports at Penn State.
We're going to polish that gem for you today, John.
Perfect.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for spending some time with us. Finished up his 11th season as the head coach of track and field, cross country at Penn State, but his 19th at Penn State overall. John Gondak joins us. John, I want to ask you a question. Do you? I said my math was struggling with me, so I'm hoping I did it right. Do you know how many Olympians you've produced as a head coach, or I guess helped develop? I guess is the best word to say there.
I know we just hired one.
Yes.
I would say in our time here, and again, the stats have gone by me. I mean, there's been so many Big Ten champions, so many All-Americans, Olympians. I'd say since my time here, we're probably talking 10 to 15.
Okay.
We have another one that we actually just signed from Canada who's going to be joining us next year, that a sprinter on the women's side. And obviously we just hired Darrell to come back and be a part of the program. But between all of them and Shayna Cox back in the day and Joe Kovacs, it's been really fun to see these people blossom into professional athletes and what they can do.
I counted 6, but since you become head coach, I don't know if that's right, but I'll try. I'll go with your overall number of 19 years. We'll throw that in there.
Now, is that 6 since I've been head coach, or
I think it's 6 since head coach. I think is what I came.
We had a handful that, I'm not trying to claim, but when I
take them all, tell us who you got. Yes, come on.
Here as an assistant coach that we had, so it's 6 since I've been. You would probably know the numbers better than me.
Okay.
I don't. I love Penn State, but I'm not a big numbers guy. Okay. I don't go back and try to count every year. I used to have this spreadsheet going that I kept track of every stat, every All-American, every this. And now I hope that our StratCom people can do that for us.
There we go.
But if it was 6, just as I was head coach, then probably the 10 number based off of who were Olympians back when I was an assistant coach too. That probably fits in there a little bit.
but I guess where I was going with this is when we've talked to a few other coaches, Guy Godowski, kind of, um, Carolyn Krieger, like higher profile coaches, and you said a polished gem, I guess, with track and field that deserves coverage. I guess one of the things, one of the places, one of the roles of the NCAA's track system is to help develop and produce Olympians, and I feel like maybe that's with kind of some of the changes, maybe being challenged or could potentially be challenged. I wanted to see how you feel about that kind of as we get into this NIL era and this name image like this era.
Yeah, I think everything in college athletics is being challenged right now. But I think it's also being challenged in a good way. When we were at the Big Ten championships this past year out in Oregon, as well as the NCAA championships, I mean, as they were going through the start lists, it was Olympian or world championship finalist or, area champion. Like, so the influx of athletes into the NCAA right now that are world class and world caliber is just like, especially in track and field, I should say, is like nothing I've ever seen. And it makes things a challenge. Like it's hard to score points at the NCAA finals when there's 300 schools that do track and field and only 8 places score at the championships. But the influx of talent, whether it's what we have coming in here at Penn State or whether it is at these other schools around the country, we are becoming the feeder system for the Olympic Games for sure.
How is Penn State positioned to take advantage of its size as an athletic department? If there are 300 out there, it's Penn State certainly probably in the upper echelon of overall size. So how is Penn State kind of taking advantage of that?
Yeah, absolutely. No, we have amazing facilities. We have amazing leadership. We have amazing resources. And so those are the 3 things that you need to be able to convince recruits that, hey, come here, we're going to be able to support you and we're going to be able to help you go from where you are now to what we hope is your ultimate dream of, being at the NCAA championships, being a Big Ten champion, maybe making an Olympic Games. So we are positioned very well for that.
What happened? What is your calendar like this time of year? Like, are you going to meet to see kids? Or, I mean, and do you recruit more from high schools? Is there a summer circuit that you're seeing kids? Or are you just going out like the Prefontaine Classic was this past weekend? I think?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
So is that a calendar you're paying attention to, or what's happened this time of year for you?
Yeah, so this time of year, thankfully, is a downtime for us. As you look at from the middle of May to the end of June, over a 5-week stretch, we were out of town 3 of those 5 weeks. Basically with the Big Ten meet being out in Eugene, Oregon this year, that was a week-long trip. We left on a Tuesday, got back on a Monday. We're in town for a week, and then we went to the NCAA first round, which was leave on a Monday, get back on a Sunday. We were back in town for a handful of days, and then we went out to the NCAA finals, which was leave on a Monday, back on a Sunday. So got back from that. And between working to hire Darrell in terms of our new throws coach, as well as get ready, we had a big high school camp last week. We had 160 high school athletes here, 40 more than we've ever had. It was awesome. We had a great time with them. So I kind of view once that camp is over, that's when my downtime is. It's the soccer coaches, they compete all the fall, and then they kind of have the spring as they have their spring season, but it's downtime for them. For us, we get a period of July and the first part of August, and then we're right back at it with cross country. So yes, we're out and about. We have high school kids that are coming in on visits. We're still recruiting out of the transfer portal. But it is definitely slowing down now as compared to what it has been for most of the year since August.
How do you, Darian started with, hey, give me the number of Olympians. How do you measure success? Like, what is your thing? You're not using that list anymore. Stratcom's updating that for you. But how do you measure success, whether it's on a daily basis or season basis or longer, in terms of I don't know, how you want to perceive success for you?
Yeah. So success to me is having a program where your student athletes are having a great experience. I tell them all the time, we're never going to say, hey, you need to win a Big Ten championship or, we're going to cut you. It's let's see the kids grow and develop. And we had probably 120 kids between both the men and the women program. And so we have people at lots of varying different levels. We have those that are trying to be NCAA champions or trying to be NCAA All-Americans or trying to make the Olympic team or this year it's a world championship team. I mean, we've got Yuki who can potentially make the Australian team. We got Haley who can Yuki can make the Japanese team. Haley could potentially make the Australian team. Handel's been an Olympian for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So Florence could potentially make it for Canada. So we have a lot of people that can be at that level, but we have a lot of people that are also just fighting to make the bus to make a Big Ten championship. And so success to me is everybody improving, everybody having success, everybody getting to what their, what do I say? I say, you have to understand what your victory is. And so it's everybody understanding what their victory is and trying to achieve that. Obviously, how we do at the conference meet, how we do at a national championship, all of those are extremely important to me. But the overarching thing is making sure everybody's moving in the right direction and having a good experience.
One of the things we hear about that's improved the experience for Penn State athletes is nutrition and the access to nutrition tables, et cetera, over the past few years, kind of growing. How has that changed in your 19 or so years, and how much more important is that come for you as a coach to kind of preach that on?
Yeah. It has changed so much. The NCAA has changed so much from when I first got into coaching, which would have been now almost 30 years ago. Like it used to be, you could buy the kids bagels, but you can't buy them the cream cheese to put on it, to the whole spread and now it's, we have a nutrition room that has a smoothie machine and any different type of protein and different recovery foods that they need. It's been great. So we used to have it's not a concession stand at the indoor track that, we would use 4 times out of the year when we hosted meets, so maybe 6 times if you include the state meet or some of the other events we held. And it was kind of a space that was vacant a lot of the times, and they turned that into a recovery room for our student athletes. And I'm telling you, they're in there all the time, every day, taking advantage of it. So between the different pieces of equipment we have, like the Normatec boots and what they're building at Greenberg right now with the new recovery health and wellness center and the dining hall for student athletes, which is something that's going to be such a great benefit for Penn State. It's really, it helps them to be the best they can be, for sure.
What has changed about the athletes during your career? I mean, we're talking about all these other things that have changed. Have the athletes changed, and if so, how?
Oh, do I really have to answer that question?
Okay, never mind.
Yeah. No, I think, athletes these days are definitely a little bit different than 30 years ago, is in a good way, sure. At the end of the day, the thing that doesn't change is, especially in our sport, it's about competition. And, the best athletes are the ones that embrace the competition. They enjoy it. And that's, I think I've seen kind of more people that are understanding that and believing in understanding that you got to be able to embrace the competition to have success, especially in our sport where, like, if you're on a ball sport and there's 11 other people out there, you can have an off day and you can kind of just blend in and maybe, your teammates can pick you up. But in our sport, like, if you're having an off day, that's just you and you're out there on an island, and you got to be ready to, take accountability for that and try to be better the next time you go out. So.
Well, as it seems like with 100 athletes across the sport, I mean, all seasons, but right, even in the spring, right, you got all these men and women, different abilities, right? There's probably a place for you to find someone who's succeeding each time, but there's probably somebody who's struggling each time too. So it seems like there's a lot of opportunity to coach. Yeah. Is it easier to pick up someone who might not be as good, or to motivate someone who is as good? Like, or does it matter? Is it the individual? Like, what are your challenges as a
It's
coach?
all the individual. It's really, you know, um, uh, the ones that are really being successful at a high level, a lot of times they take a lot of effort and energy. The ones that are trying to figure out how to stay healthy or figure out how to try to help the program, that's a lot of effort and energy too. And you have to be willing to spend that effort and energy across the entire roster if you're going to have that, as I talked about earlier, program where everybody everybody's trying to figure out what their win is, and everyone's trying to figure out what they can do to help the team. And that's, I tell them all the time, you have to understand your role. Like, again, with 120, it'll be a little bit less next year with the new kind of roster limits. But you have to know your role. If you're at home on the weekend and we're off competing, don't be posting social media pictures of you out partying. Be sending good vibes to the ones that are competing and training and doing what you need to do. If you're the one that's out there competing for the Big Ten title, let's support them and let's show them that we're all behind them for what they're trying to accomplish. So,
What what are the things an athlete that can do to frustrate you? Like, I mean, I didn't know how athletes change was going to be a tough question. I thought that was an easy one, but I'm curious, what are the things that a kid's going to do that you're like, I thought we were making progress? I mean, is it effort? Is it attitude? Or is it like, what are those things that are your buttons? Like, oh, we're going to have a talk. We got to be better here somehow.
yeah. Honestly, it's just lifestyle. It's, are you doing the right, like, obviously we're with them 2 to 3 hours a day, at practice, 5 to 6 days a week. But what they do in the other 21 hours, that's what either is going to make them or break them as a student athlete. And that's probably the most frustrating thing. We as coaches are putting our lives, our livelihood in 18 to 22-year-olds making good decisions when they're in college. And we preach and preach and preach about all the good decisions they have to make. And then the frustrating thing is when they don't make it. And hey, listen, I get it. Like, I was in college, again, it was many moons ago, but like, I understand sometimes we make poor decisions, but what we want to avoid is making poor decision after poor decision after poor decision after poor decision. And then are we really getting anywhere with what your athletic career is?
And I want to ask you about an athlete that you mentioned that I've gotten a chance to meet, that when I was doing a little research, I saw a picture of you and him together taking a selfie. And I feel like every person has a selfie with this guy. It's Joe Kovacs.
Okay.
I want to know, first off, do you think he could run for mayor of State College and win? Like, he seems so popular. Secondly, I think, what is it about his attitude that is just kind of always so infectious that comes off that way anytime I've met him, had a conversation with him, but really across all the board.
Yeah, well, it's exciting for Joe. He just threw the world lead in the shot put last weekend at the Prefontaine meet, and has just, he has blossomed from somebody who never won a NCAA title at Penn State to someone who's been 2-time silver medalist at the Olympic Games now, and he's so positive. He's so outgoing. He's so friendly. He's got such a big smile. He's such he's like a big teddy bear, so to speak. I hate that he probably hate me that I said that, but I think he's just so enjoyable with watching him compete, and with what he does, it's great. And yeah, he probably could win mayor. I'm probably better win mayor in Bethlehem, where he's from, than State College maybe, but yeah, he's just done had such an amazing professional career so far, and it's still going.
When you see him not only succeed from the athletic prowess, but just kind of as a good human being, like, what does that feel like as a coach to see? Like, how proud of you? How good does those results yield?
It makes me feel great. Like, all of our athletes, that are competing professionally, that have just outstanding careers. I had a young guy, I wasn't say young guy, but he graduated from a handful of years ago, called me a couple of years ago and was like, "Hey, coach, I just want to let you know I'm officially a Navy SEAL right now." Like he made it through Hell Week, and he's a SEAL, and it's like those things that's ultimately what I think gives me the biggest thrill with what we do is when you see kids come in at 18 years old and then they graduate at 22 to 23, and then they go on into whether it's a professional track career, whether it's just their professional, what they've decided they want to do in life. Just seeing that growth and development, that's just an awesome feeling.
I have a question for sports fans. We talked about track being a little under the radar. So I want you to coach. Give me some coaching advice for fans on watching a cross country meet and watching a track meet. Cross country different, like all over the place. So if someone comes in for a football weekend and it happens to be the weekend the Open's happening or they want to see something, how do I watch a cross country meet? And then in the track meet in the spring, how do I, there's a lot going on. What would be your advice for somebody who's going, has maybe went once or twice, but really wants to be able to take it in? What do they do?
So they're two entirely different experiences. Yep. Cross country meet in the fall, and we're only hosting one this year, and it'll be Friday, September 12th, I think, if I have the date right. It's the day before the third home football game. So if you're in town early for that, we'll be out on the blue and white golf courses. Races will start at 10 and 10:45. And basically, if you can get to Rec Hall, just cross Atherton Street, and that's where the starting line is for the cross country course. And the best part about cross country is you line everybody up, you fire the gun, and it's one race, and it's everybody gets to the finish line, and whoever's first at it. It's not a 3-day event. It's get it done type event. But it's awesome. Like we have video boards that you can kind of see how the results are going. If you're mobile and can move around the course, then there's different areas you can get to where you can kind of see different parts of the race and see kind of how the race is unfolding. Usually for the first, mile to 2 miles, it's the whole pack together. And then the last half of the race, it's kind of when the real racing begins. But they're really exciting, especially as you're watching the finish over the last half mile. And our last half mile is kind of, you come from Coral Street and work your way all the way up the hill to get back to kind of where Rec Hall is, and then you turn around and come into the finish line. So I love our course, and we're looking forward to hosting again this year. That meet in September is always a good one. And then, from a track standpoint, we host 4 indoor track meets every year at the Ashenfelter Indoor Track, and it's like a 3-ring circus. And anybody I've ever had that has come to the meet for the first time, they've never been there before, they come in, they're like, they always, man, John, like, thanks for getting me to come to this, because it was unlike anything I've ever seen. We've got the throws going in one area, we've got the jumps in the middle, we've got the races going around the oval, and it's nonstop action from when the meet begins to when the meet ends. And it's just, you get there and you just have so many different things that you can see and watch, and results are up on the video board, and it's just a lot of fun. And that's they're free to come to, so you kind of walk in, sit down, watch track for an hour and a half, and then maybe go to a basketball game or do something like that, if you're up for a sports weekend in the wintertime. Our 2 bigger meets are this year, I know it's January 17th because that's my birthday. And then our January 30th and 31st meet. Those will be the bigger ones for us this year.
Any PR bonuses for kids that get records on birthday? Has that been something you've done before? Because if not, I'm thinking you should institute it.
Maybe I need to. I can institute some revenue share now with, hey, you PR bonus on my birthday. I'll get you a little rev share.
That's awesome. That's awesome. John, we like to wrap up with one Penn State, very important Penn State question. And I want to ask you this one. What is your go-to creamery ice cream flavor? Is the track coach allowed to have creamery ice cream?
Well, we're allowed to have creamery ice cream.
Okay.
The problem is it's easier for me to park at Meyer Dairy.
You are not the first. See, Darian's always surprised by these answers. You are not the first.
One of those.
It's way easier to park. And I live literally 2 minutes down the road from it. So when my son wants ice cream, we're going to Meyer Dairy.
There it is.
What flavor are you getting there?
Yeah, what flavor are you getting there?
My flavor, whether it is, and when I get the same thing when I am at the creamery, it's cookie dough.
Okay. That's a good answer. Good answer. So, all right. Well, John, how can people find out about this upcoming season? What should they know about this upcoming season? Kind of your moment to plug here before we
Yeah, so I'm more than happy to like if people want to reach out to me directly, I'm more than happy to answer questions about our meets and where they are and how they work. But Stratcom does a great job with promoting our meets on our website. So we'll have and again, I'm just double checking here to make sure I've got too many dates on in my brain with
You knew the
everything.
birthday right off the top, though. So
I
hey,
knew
that's
the
good.
birthday. That one was simple. But let me double check. It is, yes, Friday, September 12th. So it'll be out on the blue white golf course, like I said, right across from Rec Hall. We usually, my alma mater, Syracuse, comes down. We probably have West Virginia here, Georgetown comes to town, and these are all schools that are very competitive in our region. So it's usually a good race. And it'd be fun to see our team out there on our home course. And then obviously the indoor meets during in January and early February. All that information will be on our website. And I think if you come, you will be pleasantly, so if you've never been and you come for the first time, you'll be pleasantly surprised with what you see.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Sir. Steve, I think the thing that I am most impressed about, this is now what, the fourth or fifth coach we've had on this podcast, is yes, they're competitive people. Yes, they are smart people. But most of all, they have this like undying affection for educating. And I think that's really cool to hear and see. And particularly from a sport like track and field where, the chances of going pro are a lot harder than really any of the other sports just because of like Olympics and professional track and field being such a heavy competition stake. But I think hearing that from John, it was a really good interview of a good balancing interview, I guess, of a rebalancing interview of the expectations we have for coaches and particularly maybe in non-revenue sports of what they should do and how they should lead. And I thought John was great there.
Yeah, because I mean, he crosses, fall and spring seasons, right? We got cross country, which is one sport, track, which is another sport, male and female. I don't know if he's central casting for a track coach, but he's pretty close, right? Like he just kind of level-headed, calm. Hey, find your victory. Like,
yeah,
that's great, right? And again, they're not a revenue sport. They're not going to be the thing that people turn out to and see all the time. But he is impacting as many student athletes as anybody else on campus, probably, right? So I think that demeanor is good. I think it's good when you've got a good person in that position. So I'm happy that Penn State has somebody like that, and I hope they continue to be successful and maybe even more so on the levels they are.
Yeah, and I think we tend to talk about this from like our podcast. We tend to talk about things through like the money making lens. We spend so much time on football. We talk about basketball a lot. We talk about hockey a lot. And kind of like what's Penn State doing to up the revenue. But there is such a unique and important purpose to college athletics that educating and developing, and not just educating and developing in the sports, but in life, in the world, I think is really important. And I thought that came through really nicely in our interview with John there. Again, another Meyer Dairy stand, though. I don't know if I'm... We're on a run of those.
I knew that was a button, but good for him. He was at least honest.
Yeah,
like, so,
that's true. That wasn't a company line.
It wasn't like he's like, oh, yeah, so
yeah. No,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's good. Well, thank you to John for joining us. Shall we get to the news of the day? Let's get there.
Yes, sir. Let's hear it.
Sources can confirm to the Stuff Summer Says with Steve newsroom that Gavin McKenna, the probably number one 2026 NHL draft pick, is going to come to Penn State to play ice hockey. I haven't sat down to think about to write about it yet, but we'll probably write about it this week. But I know we've actually already kind of talked about this and teed this up a little bit, but boy, oh boy, is this a big moment for Penn State hockey. This is a big moment for Penn State athletics. This is a big moment for Penn State. I really think this is a fascinating time. And I think this is like, it's wild to go from where we were back in the depths of December when I said to you, Steve, like, boy, they're really struggling, to Frozen Four, to a first round draft pick, to now likely the first overall draft pick in the upcoming draft. And I think credit to Guy Godowski. I think credit to Pat Kraft, because I think this is what's fascinating to me. And one of the things that I like kind of not predicted, but like was interested in keeping an eye on is he came from Boston College, and what sport is most important at Boston College? It's ice hockey. And it seems like he's committing and helping and making sure that Guy Godowski has all the tools and levers he wants to pull to make this happen. And I think that's big and important. And honestly, like, credit to Gavin McKenna for wanting to take a shot. Because like this is to a degree like Jackson Smith, like, yes, he is a first round draft pick, but like this is different. This is a not a generational talent per se, because I feel like we collectively overused that word in hockey, but this is going to be one of the best NHL players probably once he's done, maybe only in 1 year, but it right away. Like and it's a groundbreaking athlete because it shows that they can come to Penn State and play. Kind of going back to your point, it goes back to just so much that it's a, like I said, I haven't really collected all the thoughts yet, but it's a big day. It's a big day for Penn State men's hockey.
Yeah, and I'll add on to the transformational piece from December.
Mm-hmm.
I think what's most interesting to me about this influx of talent is that Coach Godowski, Guy embraced this, has embraced it up until now. And I'm not saying he's changing, but he said, oh, it's all about the collective. Guys fighting for themselves. We might not be the most talented guys, but it's what people can do when they share the same. So I'm not saying that he never said he wanted to do it with talented players, but it almost felt like the message was, we don't need those this is our mindset. This is who we are. We'll be fine. But now we've got those. So it'll be interesting to me how those get woven into the culture of what's going on. So I think that'll be fun to watch.
I think so too. I think I think the other thing that we collectively forget about, and hockey's obviously like a weird sport just because of the way the draft works and things like that, development works. But hockey is also the ultimate like team sport. Like we hear that like cliched so much, and like Gavin McKenna probably doesn't, like, it's not like he has like a personality of like NFL superstars per se, or of like a Gronk, or even like Pat Mahomes does to a degree, right? And I think that's where and how that can fit in. And I'm fascinated to see, to your point, like how this experiment does go to a degree, because it's a 1 year experiment. That I would not anticipate that Gavin McKenna comes back after his first season just because he's going to get drafted number 1 overall, and then he's going to go make more money. To be honest and blunt, the only reason he's most likely doing this is it's a relative money grab, because the NIL situation allows these guys to go make money. And before, when the CHL and the NCAA did not have an agreement, or were kind of closed off, they would say in the CHL, but now this becomes a more viable route. I was talking about this and explaining this to some people earlier. Like, the CHL is going to stay in its age range, but I do think that we're going to see a balance of talent. And you can see this with all of the additions that are coming in for Penn State in particular. Shea Van Olm being another guy, and even Jackson Smith too, being with the Tri-City Americans. Like, it's an interesting rebalance, and we're going to see, I think, college hockey get stronger from it, and I think that's a good thing for college hockey, because I do think it's as somebody that is a genuine college hockey fan, like, it's a great sport, and it has all these little niches and nuances that, like, even if Penn State does assemble this like super team or this incredibly strong team, you could still have Denver, you could still have Western Michigan, like you could still have all of this other stuff that balances it out and makes it neat. And I think I'm interested to see how this goes, but I think this is a big moment for Penn State. And yeah, cool.
And they've decided they're going to go in, right? They decided they're going to the CHL thing. That's the approach they're going to take, which is great. It'll just be fun to watch the cult. And I don't know that anything the culture changes or whatever else. It's just that you've gone from, and blue collar is too stereotypical of a term, but perhaps undertouted team to a team that will be around which there'll be high expectations on, and maybe higher talent level. and do you grind? Do you see the bigger picture than everybody else? And I think that's easy to see in hockey because it is. You could do all this shit right, and the puck goes the wrong way, and you're screwed.
Right.
So the prima donna world doesn't work. Well, it doesn't seem so, but they'll be fun to watch, and I'm sure people are excited. And yeah,
I think the
season tickets are already sold out,
Yeah.
so could be great in the secondary market for people.
I think the expectation things is a really fascinating part to this because people will have expectations now, and what I don't know is like I don't know if the average Penn Stater understands who Gavin McKenna is, but they understand what Gavin McKenna is. I guess if that makes sense, and I'm interested and fascinated to watch the expectations. They're not just to be expectations because there are relative expectations. There's been expectations. We've talked about those expectations every year that we've done this podcast. But I think further, there's going to be external expectations in a new way that it's not going to just be college hockey media. It's going to be NHL media. It's going to be all of hockey media paying attention to Penn State hockey now. Because of this
I think there's more that comes with it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay, cool. You sent me a tweet over the weekend. Do you have it up or do you want me to read it?
I do have it up. Okay. Ryan Glasspiel covers sports media nationally, talks about some stuff, and had this says stray observation from a Morgan Wallen concert. At one point in the show, he stopped to express his gratitude for the tens of thousands of paying fans, thanking them for making it so he can live out his dream, saying he could wish he could look everyone in the eyes. A massive sports fan, this is almost as a massive sports fan, this is almost a foreign experience. And I sent that to you because I wanted to have a conversation about thank you.
Okay.
I think Penn State sports coaches, I think Penn State coaches say thank you. I mean, we kind of make fun of James Franklin. Thank you for covering this with the media. It's their job. I think they thank the fans for their support. So I guess I was intrigued on the first part of the conversation I want to have, that it was a foreign experience. Like the teams I'm around, maybe not the pro teams,
college is different than I think the pro teams. Because I can think about the amount of times that we've heard James Franklin say thank you or say, boy, was the crowd great tonight, or the advantage that the crowd really provided. I mean, look at the whole whiteout energy thing. That was a whole case study in that almost, right? Like, hey, I need your help, and if I'll get a win for you if you can help us, type thing. But I can't really think about Mike Tomlin being like the same.
And maybe he's more of a pro sport, because I think as a sports fan, Godowski does the same thing, right?
Yeah.
With the Roar Zone. Keeg says thank you for the fans they get. Women's soccer, everybody. I can't think of a Penn State sport. I guess it would be an outlier as a Penn State sport if a coach and or players didn't thank the fans, didn't do the obligatory "we have the best fans in the nation" kind of thing. So maybe it is a split pro and college, because really the only pro team I follow was the Steelers. I mean, so maybe that since they don't do it as much,
like,
wouldn't.
Thinking about the Lightning, like John Cooper, like a couple times he's thankful for the fans, and I do think there are athletes that are better at it and coaches that are better at it. John Cooper is certainly one of them that I can think of. Like he's not invested in like with his money, but he's invested his time in the Tampa community. But then I think about I think about just like other athletes that either don't or like, and that's not to say like Mike Tomlin hasn't. But I think about like athletes that mean something to the community versus like Cam Hayward versus like Ben Roethlisberger that are just happen to be athletes that play in that town, if that makes sense.
Interesting. Okay, I'm not going to get on that, but okay. Yeah, okay. And the pro in college. So let me ask the second part of it for me. Does Oasis thank the fans?
They did. I mean, they did by showing up. That was the thank you that everybody wanted.
Do the bands you see? Because on my side of this argument, if Morgan Wallen doesn't thank the fans, that is the most un-country music thing in the world. Also, like I don't know if Ryan Glasspiel goes to country music concerts. But country music people thank the fans profusely, introduce their band members. Like if I go to a concert and they aren't introducing the people who are playing the instrument, saying where they're from, and you know me, Ashley McBride, like her line is, "We're not here, you're not here because we're here. We're here because you're willing to be there, which I think is a good line.
Good question.
But I don't know if other genres of musicians thank their fans.
So it's funny you said the band thing, because I was thinking about that. We went and saw Bleachers, which is my favorite band. Like Oasis is probably number 2 right now, but Bleachers truly is my favorite band. Saw them at the Stone Pony. It was my second time seeing them. They and the first time, so Jack Antonoff's whole thing is like being from New Jersey, and what does Bruce Springsteen do at every single show? He introduces the band, gives them this big like hype up to introduce each member of the band. And the first time, I don't think Jack Antonoff introduced the members of Bleachers, and it didn't, like, I wasn't bothered by it, but it just like stuck out as odd to me that he didn't. When we saw him 2 weekends ago, he did. And I was like, it was enough that it was noticeable that he did and didn't. I thought that was, but that's thanking the band. And I do think that that's important. I think, because I think about like when we went to go see Jimmy Buffett, like he would always introduce everybody in his band. And you knew everybody's name in the band if you were a fan of Jimmy Buffett, right? But I don't know that I've ever heard of an artist expressly thank a crowd for being, like, I mean, like, maybe they've thanked them for being here, but not maybe to the extent of what Morgan Wallen's going out. And I do wonder if that's a country thing. I do wonder, particularly with Morgan Wallen, if that's like a pandering country thing.
Oh, I think that's probably the third thing of this, right?
Yeah.
Like, this dude has his career to thank for being a dumb butt and getting caught on camera for something, and then you knew everybody was going to rally around him to a certain extent. So he's going to thank them for making that possible. So they're invested and they love it, and we propped them up and we showed you the media for not liking it and whatever. So there's that part of it too. But I do think it is a country. Like, I don't know. I guess I would be shocked if I went to a country concert and they didn't thank me for like, hey, no, you had to get a babysitter. No, you had to drive here. No, you had to whatever. We appreciate you supporting us. Thank you for being here. We're going to give it our all tonight. Like, I think that happens at everyone I've been to.
So, but I think for the people that I go see, so Bleachers being one, Bruce, I've seen Bruce now 4 or 5 times.
Taylor,
I don't really remember if she thanked. I feel like she like thanked. What I was going to say though is like I don't know that they've like expressly said thank you, like said the words thank you. Mm-hmm. But what I can sense and what I do appreciate about all of those people, and I think this part goes back to like the Oasis thing, was I appreciate the fact, and I feel the thanks from them putting in an effort that is, I might only ever see Taylor Swift again once in my life. This will probably be the only time I see Oasis and in my life. Or this, like Bruce is, I mean, the 3-hour shows like that, like that to me, the like going back to the blue collar-ness of it, I think that shows through. And I don't think that comes up I think in sports, like, I think that it's a little bit different. I do think, as much as like it's kind of boring or annoying or pandering or cliche when a coach does thank the fans, like I appreciate that. And I also think like coaches should be allowed to call fans out on their BS. Like if they're not involved in the game, they should be able to do that, because fans are the first person to line up and call a coach out on something. And I think that's fair too. So no.
There you go. Good.
Well, except for when James Franklin tries to fight fans, there is a line.
Yeah,
there is a line.
You don't need to go in the stands, right? Like I can see.
Yeah, there is a little bit of a line there.
No, I just, it was just interesting to me.
No, that's good.
I'm glad we had this conversation about thank you and whatever else. So cool.
Okay. How do you want to do? So we got a bunch of superstitions, and some of them are downright hilarious. Some of them are very sentimental. Give me a couple of hilarious ones and a couple of sentimental ones. All right. Let's go through the list first, and then we can talk about ours. This one came in today, and I think it's my favorite actually. So we'll start there. This is from John. John says, "I haven't drank a Bud Light during a game since 2017. I switched from Bud Light to Michelob Ultra at halftime of the Iowa game that year. Then I switched back to Mick Ultra to Bud Light at halftime of the Ohio State game. Figured it out the next morning. Haven't touched a Bud Light during a game since." I love that one. There's a lot of people that need to be in their seats by particular times. Let's see. This person, where was the one? This one, I know who this one's from. It's from Karen. She says, my dog needs to chew up a plush toy of the opposing team's mascot before every game. Peanut M&Ms. As a kid, my Uncle Bill always brought them to tailgates and one of us had to rip the top open in a perfect pour spout. The fun part of that tradition has spread to our friends and college roommates. Anyone who has ever attended a Bradley tailgate with us now swears by peanut M&Ms. This one is fascinating to me. I will wear Penn State paraphernalia before kickoff, but take it off during the game. In the past, it seems like every time I wear something Penn State during a game, we lose the game. I love that one. There's a good one about these some blue band people and a bracelet that they've had since 2016 that they wear. Yeah, there are a lot of really good ones in here, so I appreciate everyone that has chipped in. So
do you have superstitions or routines?
This is what is a good question, and I think it's, can a routine be a superstition? Because back in college, so this all started. My current game day superstition, which was a part of our wedding, was I would walk a specific route from my apartment to McClanahan's, and then buy a Arnold Palmer, a bacon and egg, no cheese on an English muffin, and then I would also get a case of Red Bull, and we would walk up to the stadium a specific way and either go to a tailgate real quick or go to gate A for the game.
Okay.
Now we stopped drinking.
Wait, a 6-pack of Red Bull? Did you say?
4-pack.
4-pack.
4-pack. We stopped drinking the Red Bull because it made us feel like crap. It's kind of hard to get to McClanahan's. So we adapted that one. And so the first thing that goes down on the grill every game day morning, like I have to have bacon. That's important. But the first thing I consume on a Saturday football morning is an Arnold Palmer. That has now been adopted though, from McClanahan's to primarily the Sheets across the bridge from my mom's house.
Okay.
There's also a Sheets down here in Frederick that I can get them from. There are other Sheets that I've tried to get them from and we lose, so we can't get them there. Okay. And there's somebody that talks about middle source chips in here that talked a similar kind of vibe, and I was like, this person gets me. They get me. Have also figured out there's these packets that I have of Arnold Palmer mix if we're flying to a game and can't rest assured can't get one.
Okay.
So can't go to Target during a game day. We always lose when we go to a Target on game days. That one goes back to a boot incident. That's a long story for another day. There's my belt I wear. I recently purchased a belt a few years ago that I've started to wear. That's more maybe routine than superstition. Those would be the main ones for the most part. I think I got all of them. And then of course, except for you don't get you're not on the happy game day list. It's not because I don't love you, but there are a few people that get text messages at midnight every game day. And there's the happy game day tweet. Maybe we'll add you to the list this year, Steve.
It was cooler here where I'm recording, but it got cold really quick.
Yeah.
I used to go on a tailgate. We would play Bon Jovi, Runaway, like going into the parking lot. Like
love this.
Too loud that it should be for 6 o'clock in the morning with the windows open, and no matter what time of the year it was we did that for long enough time to shape Russ's daughters to know that to expect that music when they pull into the driveway themselves. And I haven't done that in a while. I don't know that I have even a routine. My routine is providing the tailgate. I mean, realistically, my routine is leave me alone, let me load my truck. Leave me alone, let me unload my truck. That's my little point of zen. My point of, even though there's no competition to set things up, let me get there, set it up for you. You guys come enjoy, do that stuff. We'll break it down. I know how it goes back in. I don't need your help. Love you for asking. Don't need it though. Carry it close to the truck. I'll put it in. So it might be that, right? Like it might be that. Go ahead and enjoy yourself. I just want to do this thing that I can kind of control because I know nothing that I do affects what happens there. And
You never know.
And the tradition thing that I respect most, and he probably didn't submit because he's been busy, is Russ. He did, right? Like, that's great. Like, that's, I love watching other people respond to Russ's hat.
Yeah.
Like, I enjoy that too.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, Russ, dear friend of the podcast, he wears the opposing team's hat. What was there an origin story there? Just
I don't know.
Okay. Just really to be a good guy. We'll go with that. Maybe
welcome people to town. Yeah. Gesture of goodwill up until kickoff.
And then it. Yep, he takes it off. And then but he's gotten berated a couple times, hasn't he?
Some guy from Iowa 2 or 3 seasons ago was like really mad. That was when they came back to town after the people were talking about the players quitting and the timeouts and whatever else. Yeah, that guy was pretty upset for 6 o'clock in the morning.
There is a game day playlist that we listen to also on the drive that is specifically tuned to be about the time from Altoona to State College.
There you
go. But I do agree. There is something about Chris Holmes and I host our tailgate for the most part, and there's something like zen about being a tailgate, setting up the tailgate. The other one that a lot of people judge me for, I only have 1 beer before the game. That's it. No, not very rarely do I have a beer inside the stadium, unless I feel very confident. And it's got to be certain beers too. Usually prefer Yuengling. But I just the like being there, being relaxed, like that's my element, that's my space. Zenness of hosting a tailgate is important. I respect that.
And maybe the other routine, you mentioned the beer. The other routine that's probably good for other people that applies to me is that I should not be the one mixing your Bloody Mary. Because
it's a little strong.
A little strong. Yeah. And I have not learned that that's not the way it's done.
We know.
Just end up as a team. That's why.
We know.
So yeah.
You know what you have added, not necessarily superstition. I think this is more, and maybe we can do like, well, what's in our tailgate box? But the Samsel McDade tailgate has the Half Moon tailgate, if you will, has influence on us to get is shut the box. That is also kind of,
here we go.
Yeah,
that makes my heart grow warm.
Yeah, that's been a good addition to tailgates.
And we know that the Andrew Sturz family has added it to their collection from the hockey folks who showed up too. So if we can be little Pied Pipers of that, that'd be great.
Yeah, that's a good game. It's a good game. They have a little Penn State one out there. Okay. Well, thank you to everybody that submitted. We'll put these up on the website this week. This one person talked about beer drinking during the season should be from the same type of container. If you start drinking beer from cans, you must drink it from cans for the entire season when watching at home. And all you can drink during the game cannot be thrown out until it's over when watching at home. I love all of these. I think I know who submitted that one actually. We both know who that one was. Because it goes on to talk about cups, and she's very particular about her blue cups. So I thought that was good. I appreciate it.
Thanks for responding. That's wonderful, people.
Okay. Speaking of, did we get everything? That was everything, right? We'll go, okay. Speaking of, I think I know why this question came up this week, and I'm fascinated to hear why. But
I'm not even sure if I remember why. So I texted you for Old Guy, Young Guy. What about carbonated beverages?
Yes.
I think it came up. I think I was thinking of it because my sense is 10 years younger than me and younger do not drink carbonated beverages as I knew them. Like pop, soda, whatever your word is. Like, right? Like that's just not, for us, it was a treat. For us, it was something that was probably more common. Like when I drink a carbonated beverage, I guess people drink carbonated, I guess younger people in me are drinking carbonated beverages because they're drinking seltzers, right? And they have no sugar in them and they taste like yuck. So I guess I don't understand.
Well, there goes our seltzer sponsorship.
Exactly. Sorry. Unless you're the maker of Yuck Seltzer, give us a call. I guess I was thinking that they didn't, but I forgot about seltzers. So where did you think I was?
That's exactly where I thought you were going with it. I thought you were going to be a little more curmudgeon-y about the like seltzers. These kids drinking their alcohol.
No, God bless you if you like them.
I do feel like my generation does not drink soda as much as your generation does. Or
we don't have it much anymore. We have it. I have some because Susan was out of town. I'm like, okay, this is an easy, quick, sweet beverage.
I like a Coca-Cola, and I have a Coca-Cola pretty probably like 2 or 3 or 4 a week. But
okay, I don't have that much. Okay.
But it's just a singular bottle,
Right.
and it might be like if I'm eating, like if I'm like when I picked up sushi last night, I just grabbed it because that was what they had in the cooler there. But I do think my generation of kids and I'm sure it's scientifically proven or statistically proven, out drinks your generation in the alcoholic seltzer.
No, yeah.
Like
Sure.
more people at our tailgates, more people drink that than regular beer.
Right. Yeah.
And we probably drink more of those collectively than regular beer. Our fridges, our garage fridge and our bar fridge are stocked pretty well full of White Claws right now. So yeah, I think so.
Okay.
You're not a seltzer. You don't like the alcoholic seltzers?
No, because
which ones have you had?
You
don't know?
The ones that all taste bad.
Well,
the ones that all don't taste good. Like, right? Like I'll do a cider before I do
What
that.
is it? What is it?
I would do like a vodka. Like we had Vodka. Vodka. I haven't been drinking yet.
Yeah.
We had White Claw. We've had Trulies.
Yeah.
Like, but give me a alcoholic Arnold Palmer lemon tea, right? Like I would do that before I did that. Or I would do, like, there's some vodka based ones now that aren't
Surfsides, yeah.
Like those are like those Surfside things. Those are, I guess, pretty good.
Okay.
And I'm probably leaning more now towards like ciders even than beer sometimes. Just, I don't know, because they can taste.
What don't you like about the alcohol seltzers?
I think because I grew up with seltzery drinks, pop, soda, being filled with sugar. Like there was a sugary taste to them, and the seltzers don't have that taste to them. So when I get the bubbles in my mouth, I expect there to be some sugar with it and some sweetness, and there's not. So I think I spent 30 years of my life, or 17, or how long it takes to form, of like that's what this thing tastes like when it goes down. That it doesn't taste like that. That's all.
That's reasonable. I think that's fair. Because I'm trying to think like White Claws don't taste sugary. Some of the Trulies do. And the other problem with them is the ones that do taste sugary, it's all you can taste. Like it's
right.
It's in the wrong direction.
And I mean, maybe I just didn't. I tried the ones that weren't and didn't, and just haven't experimented. And I can be like, okay, here's a cider, or here's a beer. But yeah,
I'm trying to think. Cider is the one thing I can't do anymore. It gives me too much of a headache. That one's.
And it probably depends. Like we'll see. Like some of the ones, but I have one now that's kind of sweet, and I'm sure I'm getting more sugar there than I probably would if I just drank a beer too. So, first world problems.
Yeah. All right. Hit on everything there. Thank you, John Gondak, for joining us. Great conversation.
Very much so. Thank you.
Thank you to Steve for hanging out with me again this week. Always fun to have a podcast. We'll write about Gavin McKenna. We'll post these. Steve, I thoroughly enjoyed Steve's Chad Powers article. I think it was this weekend we posted that. That turned out real good. It was good little tongue in cheek from Steve there. Yeah. Cool. Name of that website that you can find all that stuff. It's called StuffSummerSays.com. On that website, there's a section called With Steve. 5 stars, thumbs up. Always appreciate that. I have an email. Mine's Darian at StuffSummerSays.com. Steve's is
Steve at StuffSummerSays.com.
Perfect. You can find me on the internet at Stuff Summer Says. You can find Steve
at Steve Samsel.
See ya. Bye.